What's up guys, my name is Matthew and today we're doing my April wrap up. Alright, so I was supposed to participate in Spring Fling-O-Ween. I have the shirt, I was ready to go. I got thrown on a trial that required a shit ton of work on my end, so the last week and a half of April was work, no reading. I was supposed to be in Tampa for all of May for a trial, and at the last minute, the judge continued the trial to an indefinite date, so I'm not even going to trial. I did not participate in Spring Fling-O-Ween, but I had a fantastic reading month. I think I read 10 books. 4 of them were graphic novels, but still 10 books, and the majority of them were 4 or 5 stars. It was a fantastic reading month. I just got through so much. I got out of my slump from March, and this month I read so many good thrillers, so many good graphic novels. This is the first time I've ever read a graphic novel. So let's jump into the books that I read. Let's start with the thrillers. All right, so the first one I'm gonna talk about, I've talked about it a ton in the last few videos that I posted, so I'll be brief in this video. But the first book I read is Who is Maud Dixon by Alexandra Andrews. This is a debut novel and I loved it. 5 stars, easy. This is one of those books that you don't want to know a lot going in. You want to go in knowing the bare minimum, because I promise you will have so much fun with it. The flap on the inside of the book spoils 3/4 of the book. So I was spoiled for 3/4 of the book, but I still had a great time. All you really need to know is that this is about a girl named Florence Darrow, and she works in publishing, but she's like low end of the totem pole. And in this world, there's a very famous author named Maud Dixon. No one really knows who Maud Dixon is, whether it's a female or a male, or just like anything about this author. And this author released like a super famous book, like think like famous like Gone Girl or something, like everyone in the country knows about it, but no one really knows who the author is. And this girl gets the opportunity to work for Maud Dixon. And that's all you need to know. It is a wild journey. It is so fun. The first 3/4 of this book aren't what I would consider thrilling. You're kind of learning and figuring out what's going on, but it was still very entertaining. But then when you get to the last 1/4 of the book, this is some fantastic thriller elements. It is strongly thriller in the last 1/4. So if you're reading this book and you're like, this doesn't really feel like a thriller, wait till the last 1/4, because I promise all the things that you're used to in thrillers will start showing up. And I highly recommend it. I've been trying to get all my friends to read it because I love it. I promise I guarantee this is gonna be in the top 5 best thrillers of 2022, if I had to guess. All right, the next thriller that I read, I have been talking about it for months, saying I'm gonna get to it. I finally got to it, and that is They Never Learn by Layne Fargo. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It is about a woman named Scarlett who is a college professor. She teaches English literature or something like that. And we're getting perspectives from her, and we're also getting perspectives from this girl named Carly. So we're getting alternating chapters between Scarlett and Carly. Scarlett is actually a serial killer. She is kind of like a Dexter in the sense that she kills men that are bad. Either they've raped people, they've just been really shitty people. So she's kind of like doing, the Batman do justice and killing all these shitty men, and no one knows she's a serial killer. The Carly chapters are about this girl who is starting at the university, and she's kind of the nerdy, quiet, like doesn't really have many friends, and she starts hanging out with this really cool girl, and you're reading from Scarlett and Carly, and you're kind of, figure out like what this story is really about. I'm gonna say the first half of this book, I was thinking it was gonna be a 3-star because I was like, this is entertaining, I guess. Scarlett's going out killing people, Carly's, likable enough, and I didn't really care, but I was enjoying it. Halfway through, the twist, it got me, it bamboozled me. It came out of nowhere, and I remember being like, fuck, that got me good. And I just was so here for the twist in the middle of the book, and that just bumped it up for a 4-star. The second half of the book is a lot more fast-paced. All the puzzle pieces are being put together, and I was like, this is a well-done book. I understand the hype. I understand why everyone kept recommending it to me. I just released a video about thriller books with the best twists, and I wish I would have read this book before I before I posted that, and because this book would definitely be on there just for the twist alone. I thought it was so well done. I don't know how I didn't see it coming because it makes sense. And well done, Layne Fargo, because you got me. But yeah, 4 stars, highly recommended if you're looking for a good twist, and if you're looking for a, badass woman killing all the evil men, all the evil men in the world, I think you will like this book. So the next hyped thriller that everyone kept recommending me, telling me I needed to pick it up, was Confessions by Kanae Minato. And this is a Japanese book that was translated into English. I don't think I liked this as much as most people did. I think I ended up giving it a 3 to a 3.5 star. I do get why everyone likes it because I do think it was well done. There's just a lot of it I had issues with. You know, we're dealing with this woman who is a teacher and she's on her last day of work and she has her whole class sitting out in front of her and she's telling her class a story. I don't know what you know going in. I don't want to spoil anything, but she's giving a lecture and some of the students did bad things. I'm trying to figure out if it tells you on the back of the book, but you shouldn't know even if it does tell you on the back of the book. She is kind of telling the students like she knows what went down and she's just kind of like, bitch, like I know what you did, and we're hearing from her story. The book is about like 10-year-olds, I think that's how old they are, and they did some pretty shitty things. But then this woman, this teacher, is like getting revenge, and a lot of it didn't feel right. It felt uncomfortable, like she's getting revenge on a 10-year-old. What the kids did was pretty fucked up. I mean, it's pretty awful. But I really didn't like this woman who's like who's getting revenge on these 10-year-olds. Everyone talks about the ending, which is a great twist. It's like, oh fuck, she went there, and I get it. But for me, I wouldn't get into this book as much as most people did. It also had a lot of talk about like HIV, but in a very weird way, and I didn't like it. I don't know. It didn't sit right with me. Maybe I'm alone with that theory, but if you've read this book, let me know what you think. There's a lot of like stigma around it and just weird issues dealing with 10-year-olds and revenge, and it made me uncomfortable. This book made me uncomfortable and it didn't really sit right with me, but I do understand why people like it because those twists were there, especially the ending. You're like, oh fuck, at the ending, everyone's like, wait for the ending. I liked the ending to an extent, but this book was only a 3-star for me, and meh. I think you're either gonna love it or you're gonna just be kind of like, okay. And for me, I kind of fell with the latter. So the next thriller I read was Alice Feeney's His and Hers. This has been on my TBR for a long time. Last year, Alice Feeney's Rock, Paper, Scissors was one of my favorite thrillers of 2021, so I've been looking forward to reading more of her backlist titles. His and Hers. Ended up giving it 4 stars. We'll be honest, I almost DNF'd it after the first 100 pages because I just was bored and I didn't really get it. The first 100 pages, you're going from chapters from this woman named Anna Andrews, who is a reporter for this British like BBC newscaster, and then you're getting chapters from him, His and Hers, him. He's a detective, and a body gets discovered. You're figuring out how the two characters are involved with the murder. Do they know the victim? Is a serial killer out on the loose? And the first 100 pages felt completely different from the last 200 pages. And I've been sitting on it trying to figure out the best way to explain this to you. But I would say the first 100 pages are very mysterious. And the author Alice was trying really hard to make it like, who is she? Who is he? And there was a tone in the book that I wasn't vibing with. And then after page 100, the tone of the book completely changed. And it felt like I was reading a different book. And the second half of the book has my favorite trope in a thriller, is where we're getting flashbacks from the past and then we're getting the present moment and something happened in the past and the characters that were all involved in that awful thing that happened in the past are in the present and we're trying to figure out what happened in the past and how is that past influencing the present. So I'm glad it didn't DNF it because it's my favorite trope in a thriller, but I had no idea it was coming because the first 100 pages really didn't touch on that, and it was just, man, the first 100 pages just didn't feel like the same as, it felt like I was reading 2 different books. But between page 100 and 300, so much fun. The twist is good. I will say I figured out the whodunit aspect of this book at a specific moment. I'm not gonna tell you the specific moment. It was like a red herring. The author wanted you to think one thing, but right when they gave me that clue, I realized what was going on. It was fun. Is the ending ridiculous and kind of like, I don't know, silly? Yes, but it will shock you, and I liked it. Did I like it as much as Rock, Paper, Scissors? No, but it was still a good book and definitely 4 stars, and yeah, I recommend it. All right, so probably my most disappointing book of April and one of the thrillers that I read was Karin Slaughter's Pieces of Her. If you've been watching my latest videos, you know that I'm on a Karin Slaughter binge. She is fantastic, but I'm just gonna say this book did not do it for me. I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was very boring. It is almost 500 pages, and you guys know how I feel about long thrillers. I prefer my thrillers between 300 and 350, and it was just boring. I didn't care. I didn't find it interesting. Like, oh shit, is that a spoiler? Okay, let me start over. So it's about this girl, and she's hanging out with her mom, and then something tragic happens, and the mom shows a side of her that the daughter was like, who the fuck are you? How do you know how to do that? And the book is going back from the past, and we're trying to figure out like the history of this mom, what the mom was involved in, how the mom is able to do certain things. I'm doing a very bad job explaining it, but I don't want to give anything away. But with these flashbacks to the past, we're like learning about the mom, the history of the mom, I found them so boring. Like I did not care at all. Like I was skimming them because I was like, I don't care. This could have been so much more interesting. The present moment, the daughter's figuring out like what her mom was involved in the past. And it had like the same structure of a normal Karin Slaughter book, but I just was so bored. I wanted to read it because there is a Hulu, I think it's Hulu, show that came out based on this. Yeah, I think this is one that you can definitely pass on. I mean, I love Karin Slaughter. I've given all of her books like 4 to 5 stars, mostly 5 stars. This one was so boring. And I'm nervous because she's coming out with a book in August and it's following the same character in this book, I think it's like a sequel, book number 2 of this story. And I'm like not looking forward to it. I hope she changes some things around because this book was meh. I wouldn't even consider it mediocre. I thought it was very, very, very boring. All right, so the next thriller I attempted to read, I don't even know if this is a thriller. It's probably like a horror. I got to page like 105, chapter 9, and that is Hidden Pictures. I got an advanced reader copy of this book. It comes out in May. I'm not really sure. It doesn't say what date it actually comes out in. I think I'm gonna be in the minority with this one. I think I'm gonna be one of the few people who did not like this book. And when I tell you about the plot, and if you know my reading taste, you're gonna see like, oh, this makes sense, you don't like it, because it's about, one, I think it's like supernatural, and you know how I feel about supernatural books. Only certain ones can do that. This is your tropey demon child book, and I don't do demon children. Like if I wanted to hang out with demon children, I would go hang out with my friend's children. You know what I mean? Like this doesn't scare me. This doesn't freak me out.
I don't care.
Like I don't know, I just did not like it. It was about this girl named Mallory who was a recovered drug addict, and she gets this job in this really rich family, and she's gonna be a nanny. The amount of books I've read about a nanny and a demon child, I'm over. I don't wanna read any more books about that. I don't like that trope, I don't care. Yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm being very aggressive, but wasn't for me. This girl, our protagonist, did not feel like a real person. And like maybe she's not real, because I didn't finish the book, maybe that's the twist, maybe she's not a real person. But the way she was acting, the way her thoughts were, just did not feel genuine and didn't feel like a real person. I was like, who's writing? And then I was like, oh, it's like a middle-aged dude writing from a 22-year-old woman. That's probably why it feels so awkward, because it just didn't feel like I was reading from a real person. It probably doesn't make any sense. If you've read it, let me know what you think. Gabby Reed's read it and she gave it like 4 to 5 stars, somewhere in there. And I don't know, I didn't like it. You know, apparently there was like a murder that happened in this house that she's staying in back in like World War II. Like, who fucking cares? World War II? Like, what? How am I supposed to care about that? Yeah, and it's like, oh, this girl got murdered, and you're trying to like figure out the mystery behind that, and then also deal with like the child who's like a demon, who has like demons in him. I don't know. One thing I didn't talk about is like, in the book, that you get to see the child's drawings, and he's drawing like really happy drawings, and all of a sudden you'll get like a scary drawing with like, you know, like, oh, that's kind of scary. So that was unique that they were throwing like pictures of the kids' drawings. But other than that, I didn't like it. I don't want to read it anymore. Let me know if you did read it and if you agree or disagree with me. I think most people are gonna like this book. This just wasn't one for me. So I jumped on the bandwagon for Heartstopper. I read all 4 of the Heartstopper comic book graphic novel series, not comic book. And I absolutely adored it. It made me so giddy, so smiley, and I'm like, I have like a black soul. So if you're able to do that, impress. Alice Oseman, they are fantastic and did just a phenomenal job. These books are about 2 high school students, one named Charlie, and Charlie came out of the closet as gay the year prior. And then we also have a guy named Nick, and Nick is on the rugby team, and Charlie has a little bit of a crush on him, and he doesn't think Nick is gay. And then the story is just kind of following how, maybe Nick is gay, and following the self-discovery and coming out and just this cute romance. I absolutely loved it. It was so adorable, like so fucking cute. And I don't like cutesy things, but this was so adorable. And the Netflix show came out. I watched the entire season of Heartstopper in one day, because they're like 20-minute episodes, and it's so cute. The show is so on point for the first 2 books. The show is fantastic. One thing I will say is that I had never read a graphic novel before, and I did not realize I'd be able to read an entire book in 20 minutes. So I read like all these books in 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more. So I can understand if someone's buying it, like they might not want to spend the money on a book that's gonna only take them 20 minutes. So this might be one of the books that you want to check out from the library. That being said, I'm glad I did purchase them, because it'll definitely be something that I go back to, because it gave me all the dopamine and the serotonin and just made me so happy. And it was just so pure and just, adorable. And I don't talk like this often, but it was so well done. But volume 4 explores really deep, dark topics, and I liked it, but I will say the first 3 were very just like warm and fuzzy and fluffy, and then I wasn't expecting for book 4 to just tackle very serious topics, and it kind of put me down, and I was like, no, I want to be happy. But I'm glad that, you know, Alice Oseman explored those topics, but just a warning, the 4th one gets a little dark. I also read This Summer by Alice Oseman, and this is following Nick and Charlie as well over like their Christmas holiday, but it's more from the perspective of Charlie's older sister. I didn't really like this one as much. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I think on Goodreads I said this did nothing for me. Didn't give me warm, fuzzy feelings. I didn't really care. It wasn't the same vibe as the comic book series, the graphic novel series, but I'm so glad I read it, and it has very like Christmassy vibes. But yes, if you have not jumped on the bandwagon for Heartstopper, just trust me, even if you're somebody who doesn't like romance and you have a dark black soul, I promise you will smile and it'll just make you feel good because it is so adorable. And I can't, like, I gush over it. It was so cute. I can't believe I waited so long to read these. So I said I didn't do Spring Fling-O-Ween. I did film some videos that I'm gonna put here just because, like, I was gonna film a video, but then it didn't happen, but I did get some footage. So I'm gonna put that here. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books, whether you agree or disagree with me, and I will see you guys in another video soon.
Your response.
So Greg, how do you feel about Spring Fling-O-Ween, a reading vlog?
I don't care for anything that has ween in it other than Halloween, personally.
Well, that's what it's based off of. So that's what we're doing in this vlog.
But it's spring. Oh,
it's spring.
What is this? It's Spring Fling-O-Ween. Yeah. The only ween I want is one. I don't know where that's going, actually. I don't know where I want it.
Yes, we are going to the movies and we're in traffic.
We're going to see Everything Everywhere All Over My Face. What's it called? Everything Everywhere?
I tried to explain it. I don't know what it's called.
I don't know what it's called. It has a lot of words. And apparently somebody said there's a multiverse involved. And I was like, I'm not going if it's a Marvel movie. But it turns out it's not. We're just really into the multiverses.
Yeah, so we're trying to get to happy hour so we can get, like, wasted on a Tuesday before. We're not wasted. We're responsible.
We're getting twisted on Tuesday.
Twisted on Tuesday. All right.
Okay.
Okay, but it's not superhero. It is not in itself a part
of
a universe.
No, it's not.
Evan, are you so excited?
That was my stream.
Oh yeah, you sounded very masculine. Can I get a hiya?
Okay.
Together. Dazzling images on a huge silver screen. Sound that I can feel. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our heroes feel like the best part of us, and the stories feel perfect and powerful.
Oh, ain't love grand.
I recommend all thrillers that my son recommends.
Oh, thank you.
Come here, Nathan.
What?
Matthew.